Hello. Right. I'm going to wait for anybody. Well, I can do, but people will, yeah, anyway. All right, so what did you think about today's Tommy Robinson / end of Speaker's Corner for a little while debacle?
Okay, so when I arrived at Speaker's Corner, I got there just as it was all kicking off, basically. So I got there and Tommy Robinson was being marched out. Everyone, there was a massive crowd of Muslims screaming and shouting at Tommy Robinson. While he was in the police car being kind of driven away, people were swearing at him, offering to fight him, and being really aggressive actually. And then shortly after that, what happened was the police actually dispersed Speaker's Corner for maybe half hour to 40 minutes, and then we was allowed to come back and debate. But then they sent us away again. Like, it didn't really last, did it?
No. So I was there from, hi, God bless you too. Oh, I'm blessing for Ben, obviously, and God. So when I got there, which was a lot earlier, there were no Muslims actually. There was maybe 2, 3, but there were the amount of people who are normally there a couple of hours after, and I'm mainly 90% Muslim, so there weren't any of those there. But there were like Hearts of Oak and other conservative or right-wing people. That was all fine. Lovely atmosphere, lots of flowers and chocolates for people. And then once Tommy came, the atmosphere changed. The police got a lot more heavy-handed. I think it's safe to say that their approach was not approved of by the regular police, basically, who were there. One of them's a lovely guy. So Tommy was arrested on COVID restrictions rather than somebody else was saying they thought he'd been accused of having a weapon. As far as I know, he didn't break any restrictions other than anyone else. It's not really his say whether he's surrounded by more than 6 people or not, obviously, because it's just out of his hands. But I think it was a poor PR move on the part of the police, and it's a shame that it's the last week for a little while. But I'll pass you back to Brother Ben.
Okay, so just to do a quick volume test, can everyone hear us okay? Just say yes if you can. Someone say yes. Hey, lovely.
Hey.
Okay, so you can hear us. Not only did Tommy get marched out, but Bob actually got asked to leave Speaker's Corner because there was a crowd, and I believe he actually got threatened with a £10,000 fine. If he didn't leave, then he'd get a £10,000 fine. So they was really, really quite heavy-handed today. It didn't really stop. It stopped the debate for a while because, like I say, we had to disperse for maybe half hour, 40 minutes. But when we came back, it was more of a relaxed kind of setting. For example, I had a discussion with Abbas by the benches having a coffee. We had a nice discussion on some textual critical issues, actually, in regards to the authorship of Isaiah, and also Isaiah chapter 9, Isaiah chapter 40, Isaiah 42, Isaiah 29, the book of Hebrews, and we also spoke about how the early church decided what should be in the canon of scripture. So it was a really good chat, actually. Abbas does drive me mad. He drives me insane. I like the guy.
It'd be quicker to walk, really, wouldn't it?
I like the guy, but he drives me insane. He doesn't stop. Once you finish one argument, he jumps onto another argument, and it just continues. But Abbas is a nice guy.
Were you spoken to by the police yourself?
Yeah, I was. Me and another Christian, James, who goes to Speaker's Corner. You might recognise him. He's the big guy in the videos of Hatton. You know, he's often the guy with the beard,
Crusader symbols.
Big, yeah, really big.
I'm just going to answer that question. So it wasn't only Abbas. Hashim came far too late once everything had finished. Paul Williams was there throughout. For some reason, there's a guy who's taken a shine to me, as it were, who kept saying, "Oh, could you pass my condolences to Hatton, and I hope she rots in hell," and all of that stuff. And eventually I just acted as if I couldn't hear him, because he's a bit of the word retard just sprang into my mind, but he's challenged, emotionally and mentally. But yeah, so there was Abbas, there was Paul Williams, there was Hashim eventually, but there were no Dawa channels there, which is very unusual. Although the Dawa team don't generally come until like 2-3 o'clock. But I was told by a really officious sergeant that I had to go home. And I basically know if I've got home and why. And he said COVID restrictions. So I told him, do you mean on Thursday? And he said no. And I said, well, I've got equipment here. I'm not leaving without it. Yeah, and eventually he got 2 constables to escort me over to the equipment, and then they just wandered off, which was odd. So I stayed and I checked it out with the park police, and he said, I don't know what he's talking about. You're fine. You're fine. So yeah, we had to be pushed back. Paperboy was having a debate with Joshua, part 2, the Jewish boy / young man, which went on. But yeah, threatened and escorted from the park. Not only threatened, he was escorted out. After, like, basically there were so many police. There were more police than there were people, I think. I don't think they'll ever declare it Sharia corner because David Wood isn't in charge of the names. But it depends. Last summer it was really nice. And also, just as the lockdown tailed off, it was basically that, yeah, there were no Muslims for about 5 weeks. The police were whistling, like, it was very relaxed. I did a video with Atheist Steve. Like, it was just a lovely time. And maybe like a little ray of hope for what could happen if we all get our apologetic shoes on, as it were. But yeah, I'll pass back to Ben because he talks a lot, as you know.
Yeah. To begin with what Kay said, when she said that man took a shine to her, I can't imagine why anyone would take a shine to Kay. She's the most dislikable person I've ever met.
And yet Ben loves me and speaks to me daily on the phone.
So basically, in regards to what Kay was saying about the police, they seemed, I don't know about you, Kay, but they seemed very unorganised.
Sorry, they were jogging in formation at one point. It was so embarrassing.
But basically, what happened was a police officer said to me, you basically need to go, okay? But he said, you can come back in half hour, but let us just disperse the group for a little bit. Another police officer then came to me and said, it's time to go home. So I said, well, hold on. The other police officer said, I can come back in half hour. We just need to go down the road a bit. And then he was like, oh, yeah, sure, that's fine. So I don't think they really knew what they was doing. I think it was more of just reacting to the crowd. But yeah, so...
They were sorry, Ben. They were told to target people individually, which was weird because you'd get the same. But then at one point, after the Muslims marched through very dramatically, after Tommy had gone and all of that, they weren't spoken to at all. I watched them. They congregated around the hut where the cafe is, and there was a group of at least 25, and nobody was spoken to at all there. Fair enough, you could be legitimately just getting your coffee and stuff, but you're still not supposed to stand together. Yeah, the UK police, the problem with that masterful assessment in emojis is that if they are not given statements by the victims, which is often the case, then they're powerless to act when it's an actual assault, as in the case of Hatton. If she doesn't want to press charges or give a statement, they can't do anything, and it makes it look like they're acquiescing when actually the dedicated parks police are not. They're fed up. We had 13 months of no violence. Like, there was really hard work behind the scenes, and that was all just put out the window with these little sods who started kicking her and stuff. Kane is he's well, he's okay. I don't know that he's got plans to return particularly soon. So let's start in the list. Daniel and Godwin have stopped doing Islamic polemics because they feel led by God's boys. Like, they're still in groups, like Christian groups that we have, so they're still very much there. Kane is I'm not really sure. Yeah, I don't know if it's like there you are. So yeah, I don't know that he's got any plans to come back, but he's still Christian and everything's well. Arul is getting on with some personal life stuff, which is really good. I don't believe Kane is banned. No, he had some threats that were credible, that were overheard in Arabic. I don't know that they're the reason, but God doesn't ask us to put ourselves in needless danger. So maybe hopefully, please God, he'll return soon, because I know he's very missed. As opposed to Ben, who, if he didn't show up, who'd care?
Okay, so now let's be honest, okay? Let's be honest.
He
there,
can dish it out, but he can't take
what
it.
you just heard there was slander. I think people would miss me, you know.
Only if they weren't aiming properly.
Okay, no, but in reality, can you guys still hear us? We just had some connection issues. If you can still hear us, say yes.
Yeah, I think they can.
Okay.
Because this.
Okay, you can still hear us, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. So in regards to debates, because of everything that happened, I brought my camera equipment and everything to record some discussions, but because of what happened with Tommy Robinson and everything kicking off, I didn't actually get any recorded discussions on camera. So what we'll do is we're going to do some videos online throughout the week. Myself and Kay are going to do one. SOCO Films, we're talking about doing a panel discussion on SOCO Films. I think JC mentioned me, Kay, Bob, Paperboy, and we're going to have like a kind of a panel where we discuss a particular topic, and then we are going to open it up for questions, basically. Okay, so yeah, I mean, there's plenty to come. It's just with the lockdown over the next 4 weeks, I think we are still going to go to Speaker's Corner. I won't be there next week, neither will Kay. Which I'm sure you'd be pleased about in regards to Kay not going. But,
is that the time, yawn?
But also, but I will be doing videos online. I may do some talks. I may upload some debates throughout the week, like Zoom debates or something like that. So there will be more stuff coming, definitely, throughout the week. Please help Dory. Please help Dory Love.
Okay, so in relation to Dory, as far as I know, he's got a warrant out for his arrest. I don't know if that's been executed yet. I can't. If anybody's got his contact details, obviously I've got the official ones, but no, they do polemics. I get. Sorry, right. Let's one topic at a time. Dory Love, Christ Forgiveness Ministries. Also, if anybody knows anybody in there, I'd be happy to publicise stuff and help him out for sure. With Daniel and Godwin, I believe they're polemicising, but I think it's probably more apologetics for end time. Like eschatology, stuff like that. So yeah, what else happened today? Oh, during the week and the oncoming lockdown weeks, at least in the UK, we at SOCO we will be doing. I've got a video agreed with Christian Prince. We've had some technical issues slightly with that. I've got, I think, Vocab Malone coming up again, Robert Spencer also again, Jay Smith again. Whom else? Oh, the panel that I do with Angelo and the Divinity Vids also will be doing. Unfortunately, Christian persecution isn't going away just because there's a lockdown. So I made some videos today about the 13-year-old Pakistani girl who's been kidnapped and raped. Sorry, I do apologise, forcibly married. And the attacks in Nice, which are just disgusting. There were no cartoons there. And the second decapitation in the Greek. David Lynn is, he's amazing. I like Dory's testimony as well. So I'm going to pass you back to Ben ever so slightly.
Okay, yeah, so I mean, what we're doing basically is like a carpool. We're just kind of driving home basically. So I mean, does anyone have any questions about today? Back to Ben, please. Did you see this? This comment here, back to Ben, please. That is the right kind of comment I want to see.
He wants me to turn my back to Ben. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Basically, what they're saying is less of Kay, more of Ben.
Of course, this is your channel. Okay. But by the way, while you're here, you can subscribe to my channel, which is Kay SOCO Films, obviously, because my video, if you notice on Ben's channel, it must just be the break from being Ben, but it's pretty popular. And I've arranged to get in touch with Jordan M. And maybe I'll throw out some like emails to Abbas or Paul Williams or But anyway, let me pass you back. And I've got some Mormons I'm going to meet as well.
Oh, cool. What's that?
Something about MI6. I don't know if you want.
So I mean, in regards to questions, does anyone have any questions regarding today or in general biblical topics, anything like that? If you have questions, do post
Feel
them.
free.
Yeah, put them in there. And yes, we do love Yahya. I agree.
Yeah, we need to pray for him for sure. And his wife. Let's pray for his wife.
Yeah, I mean, Yahya, what's this here? Which she shouldn't...
It says she wouldn't marry a Muslim guy, so he shot her. I'm sorry, I don't know what that's about. Ben, don't forget to set up the Patreon or whatever.
Patreon.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, that is something I'm looking into, to set up a Patreon. I've had a few people now message me saying they'd like to support the channel which I really do appreciate. I really do appreciate that. So yeah, that's very kind of you. What's this here? Hebrew
it says
by
Hebrew Matthew by Nehemiah. Sorry, it went away again.
Nehemiah Gordon.
Nikita Toma, somebody's called JR is saying.
Okay, so I saw the question. It's just disappeared. Something about Nehemiah Gordon. I think actually Nehemiah Gordon interviewed
More
me.
polemics against Islam.
Yeah. What's his name? Nehemiah Gordon. I think he actually interviewed me about a year ago at Speaker's Corner. He came to Speaker's Corner, and I actually had a chat with him.
Yes, Tommy got a chance to speak to Hatun, by the way.
Did you guys hear about the knife attack? Oh, hold on. Freedom. Do you think Hatun should show the Quran with holes and the pictures? Many told me they think it's dangerous.
What's your opinion, Ben? Charitably.
Okay, so I would say...
I made a video for my response. You can check it out with Jay Smith on SOCO.
So I would say, from my own honest opinion, okay, it might be unpopular, but I'll tell you my opinion, okay? I think Hatun absolutely has the right and the freedom of speech to do what she does, okay? It's her property. If she wants to do that, she should have the freedom to do that without being punched in the face, especially not by a man, okay? But at the same time, do I think it's the best approach? I'll be honest, I think there are better approaches to have this kind of discussion, because it does kind of shut down conversation. Because if you I mean, for example, my own case, for example, I often go down to Speaker's Corner and I ask Muslims, would you like to have a discussion? And they often say no. And I think it's a cop-out, really, but I do think it's a cop-out, but they often say no because they associate us with what Sister Hatun is doing. To be honest, they do. They associate, you know, I've been had it said about me many times, well, Ben, you're part of DCCI, so we can't talk to you. When I say, actually, I'm not on DCCI, I'm on SOCO Films and my own channel. So in regards to that, I think she absolutely has the freedom and the right to do what she's doing. She has the right to do that. But at the same time, I think there are better approaches.
I challenge you to a debate.
Okay, Angelo just said in the live chat, Ben, I challenge you to a debate. I accept your challenge. I'll be on Discord tonight or tomorrow night. Come at me. What's up?
Bring it. Anyway, so I'm going to summarise my position on Hatun, and not as a person, obviously. I think that anything that puts the park at risk, and that mostly includes violence, but also includes freedom of expression, which isn't expressly upheld at Speaker's Corner because other people have to take their pictures down and their signage and all of that. I think that if it's overly used, it becomes less impactful and less effective. I think that it detracts from her academic ability because she's already just smashed them all around the world. Nobody can ignore her polemics against the preservation. And David Wood is a slightly different case when he does all the mockery because he's just behind a computer and like he's a psycho, literally. So she's a tiny little woman. She's very big on the inside, as it were, but on the outside, she's very small and everybody knows where she'll be. And all it takes is for someone to go down and double check she's there. And then these people are not the most loving or the most balanced, really. Especially after someone gets their head chopped off, 2 people get their head chopped off. I think just maybe out of respect for the families, it's time to just, you know, and it shouldn't be a gimmick for every week because you're just enraging people and hurting their feelings, and that's not opening them up to the possibility of the gospel at all. That's just making them double down. So that's my rant over. Benjamin.
What's this comment?
I don't know.
What does that say? Read it to
Someone
me.
needs to give the gospel to Tommy Robinson. I had a copy. Literally, it's in my bag still. Why don't you try and kill us though?
Okay, so I would say in regards to Tommy Robinson, someone said that. They said, why, I think someone messaged me privately and said, why don't you speak to Tommy Robinson? And in reality, do you know how hard that would be? The second he turns up, everyone kind of swarms him. So you can never get to the guy to have a conversation because there's too many people.
Sam Shamoon is a beast too. I think that's a compliment. Muslims best feared debating him. Yeah, also JWs. I mean, he proved from the JW Bible that Jesus is God. So that's pretty impressive. But people's skills, you know.
Okay, so what's this? Do you have a video? Oh, do you have that video?
With Nehemiah.
Okay, so no, I think that was on his channel.
Should upload it.
And by the way, for the person who said I'm driving dangerously, you have no idea where we are. There's so much traffic. I'm not holding the phone. My hands are on the steering wheel, but there's so much traffic. Like now I'm stuck. I can just look at the camera, so I wouldn't worry about it. But in regards to that interview with Nehemiah Gordon, I believe he posted it on his channel, but it was a long video with other interviews too, and I'm in there somewhere. Why didn't Hatton take the flowers? Okay, so why didn't...
I've got an answer for that, actually.
So I'm going to pass you on to Kay, because when she was given the flowers, I wasn't there, so I didn't see.
So, well, no, my answer isn't a current as in today, but previously she's also the money that was raised in her name, as it were. She doesn't want that either. She doesn't want anyone to be able to accuse her of profiting financially, or, you know, like she wants God to protect her, and she doesn't want any help from anybody. So I guess that her refusal of any flowers and well-wishing stuff is just based on she doesn't want to seem like she's beholden to anybody. That's somebody else anyway. So
what's the question?
So SOCO's going to be, I love here even more now, heart, heart. Hatton did take the chocolates that Tommy slipped to her. Well, that's not profit. Chocolate is never on the profit or loss category. It's chocolate is chocolate. Let's be real here, people. So yeah.
Yeah. So like I say, Kate, when are you going to be back at Speaker's Corner?
So I will, even if the park wasn't closed, I'm having time off this weekend, stuff to do, etc. And then I will be back the week after next, even though there are restrictions. I'm still allowed to go out to exercise, etc. Come up north. I don't know if that's the... She could donate the money. She could donate the money to a good cause. I think that the person who raised the money is a little not upset, but a bit kind of taken aback. But I think the money will just probably be given to her anyway, because she can't then give it back. Oh yeah, well, the spectacles should definitely... He was taken to... This is the problem. So he's definitely not a Christian. That is the problem in a nutshell. But the police ascertained his Islamic ideology. Also, he was only taken to hospital for his injuries, and then he had to be released because at that stage there was no statement, and it has to be given from the victim. So unfortunately, that wasn't provided in time to be able to hold him, and then he was released NFA, which for anyone who's not English means no fixed abode, but they were pretty sure that they could find him again if push came to shove. But yeah, so also during the middle of all of this nonsense today, the persecution continues. It will continue while the UK is in lockdown, so I'll be carrying on doing that, and SOCO will be doing lots more stuff. Oh yeah, so there's people debating in the thingamajig.
Okay, so what's being said? So let's look at some of these comments. Hey guys, do you all think about preaching the gospel right outside mosques? This
we'll
one.
Answer them.
Okay, so 2 questions. I would say...
I'll get to the captain bit.
Yeah, Kay will answer the captain one. I would say preaching the gospel outside of a mosque. I would say we have to be fair. If they was to be outside our churches on a Sunday morning, is Ben still... Anyway, one question at a time. If they was to be...
Bob.
I'm reading the other questions, yeah. So if they was to be outside our churches on a Sunday morning, blocking the pathway with their stands and handing out Qurans, we really wouldn't like that. But I would say they have the right to do that. If they're just, trying to have discussions and, friendly chats, yeah, I don't have an issue with that. I think we can do that. But I don't think it's the best route to take if you're going to stand outside a mosque with big placards and a microphone, really kind of aggressively preaching. I have no issue if you want to go out there and just have chats and give them some Bibles. I don't have an issue with that. But I would say probably there's a context to things. There's a time and a place. Like, you wouldn't start preaching out loud in a kind of street preaching way if you're in a field and families are having picnics, because that's just not really the done thing. I would say there are better approaches, but they did that in USA with Pastor George. Okay, I don't know who Pastor George is,
yeah?
but Kay's going to answer the question about Captain.
Okay, so with regards to John, he made a very short video today correcting some of his earlier statements. I tried not to engage with them because I find that, how do I put it? I think I won't apologise for something that I haven't said or done. Other people's interpretations of my friendships and my the way that God calls me to lead my life is really nobody else's business. But I will say that a correction is coming, and potentially a longer video. Like maybe I'll do a video with him, but I'm gonna pray about that. Like, I'm friends with him. We were chatting today, but I just want to make sure I don't easily triggerable topics and stuff like that. There needs to be some prayer around it. Is my understanding.
What are the questions? Modine almost hit Hatton,
Yeah,
but
he did.
failed. So his friend did. Okay, well, I don't know if the guy was friends with Modine. I can't speak on that because I don't know.
He was over 12, so it's potentially not one of Mo's acolytes.
Yeah, I to be honest, I don't really know Modine, so I can't comment on that.
Take him off my hands, please.
I've never spoke to the guy, so I couldn't really answer that. So what are some of the other comments? Okay, Mo is a hit with the kids. Okay, Ben. Okay, so Ben, why does Jesus say he doesn't know the day or the hour in Mark? Okay, so let me answer that. So
I've got an answer.
Okay, so me and Kay would probably disagree on this, and I respect Kay's right to be wrong.
Yawn.
I do. I respect Kate. I respect Kay's right to be wrong. Okay.
Well, hear my answer first, then.
So let me give you the two interpretations that I would say are the most common. I'm not going to say which one I hold. You can decide for yourselves which one you think's better.
They asked for an answer.
Yeah, I'm going to. So historically, okay, there are some early church fathers like St. John Chrysostom who held to the view that Jesus was speaking in this way, and this is what John Chrysostom says. He was speaking in this way to not allow the disciples to know, because that would affect the way they would live their lives. But I'm just saying. But so St. John Chrysostom, shall I say, he would basically argue the fact that when you read in Genesis that it says, and then Adam knew Eve, does it therefore logically follow that he didn't know Eve before they had sex? Of course not. When Paul says to the one second. So when Paul says that I aim to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified, does that mean that Paul knew nothing else apart from Jesus Christ and him crucified in regards to this church? Well, no, of course not, because he founded the church. Okay. When we see, for example, Jacob then laid with his wife and he knew his wife, it doesn't mean he didn't know her before that. And I think so. John Chrysostom had this kind of view that when, for example, in John chapter 20 or 21, where it says that Jesus does know all things, they would kind of line all of this language up in the way in which the word know is used. They would line all of this up and say, Jesus did know, but he spoke in this way, in the same way Genesis uses the word know, in the same way Paul uses the word know. I'm not saying that's the best answer. That's one answer historically.
Can I give mine?
One second. That's one answer historically. Another answer is that after the resurrection he knew. Another answer is the fact that...
you said two.
One second. Another answer is that...
no, don't go on to another question. I've got an answer.
So another answer is that Jesus willfully limited his knowledge at the incarnation to fulfill the role of the Messiah and fulfill that role, basically. So I think that's what Kay was
none of mine.
Okay.
None of them. They're absolute tosh, apart from John of Christensen. I don't know. Anyway,
John Chrysostom.
So I would argue that Jesus specifically and explicitly said no one knows apart from the Father. So he included in that everybody. I would say that... so there are two things. Hebrews, becoming lesser than the angels and emptying himself. I think that's particularly relevant. But I also... Philippians. No, Hebrews also says lesser than the angels.
And
the
emptying
yeah. Thank you. So I guess my point is that when Muslims use it as a detraction from God, because Jesus is God, whilst he was on earth, for sure, he was lessened to the point of being vulnerable to death, obviously, and victorious in the resurrection. But the fullness of God, the Godhead bodily, is how Jesus is described. And the fullness of the Godhead includes the knowledge of the last hour. Another thing I would say is that for marriages, Jewish fathers would know the hour of the marriage. And for Christ's bride to be reunited with him in the end times I think it's symbolic as well as what Christ is saying. Also, it's similar to the right hand of the Father, because the right hand of the Father in Jewish custom is the place of honor. So.
Also, I mean, let's take this, okay, and let's say he didn't know the hour, okay. You have to bear in mind that argument that Muslims use, okay, to disprove the deity of Christ. You have to bear in mind that same gospel that they're quoting from in Mark that says this also begins with the deity of Christ, because if you read Mark chapter 1, verse 2 and 3, what does it do? It draws from the prophecy in Isaiah 40 verse 3, which says, there will be a messenger in the wilderness preparing the way for the Lord, make straight a highway, or make straight a path for our God. Okay, Isaiah 40 verse 3. Now, what does Mark do there? He quotes from Isaiah 40 verse 3. He applies the messenger in the wilderness preparing the way for God to be John the Baptist. We all know John the Baptist was the forerunner of Christ. We all know John the Baptist was in the wilderness preaching. And who did he prepare the way for? Jesus. So what Mark is doing there, he's saying that John the Baptist fills this role of the messenger in the wilderness, preparing the way for God, and Jesus is this God. Okay, so it's not only Mark does that, Luke also does that, Matthew also does that. In Mark chapter 2, you have Jesus forgiving sins, and the Jews say, why does he speak like this? Who can forgive sins but God alone? And what does Jesus say? He doesn't say, well, hold on, guys, you've misunderstood me. That's not really what I meant. He doesn't say that. He rather says, I say this so that you know I have the authority to forgive sins. So within Mark's gospel, exactly. So in Mark's gospel, Mark does have a high Christology. There is this theory, this higher criticism theory, okay, that says that within the synoptics, there's not really a high Christology, and the high Christology only comes about really in John's gospel, okay. So I would say that that's simply false, because throughout Mark, okay, the deity of Christ is established. Throughout Matthew's gospel, the deity of Christ is established. In Matthew 2, Jesus is worshipped. In Matthew 12, it says that Jesus is the Lord of the Sabbath. Now, who established the Sabbath? God established the Sabbath. So when Jesus says, I am Lord of the Sabbath, he's claiming to be that God who set up the Sabbath.
Exactly.
So I would say that even this argument here, it's being used and taken out of a gospel that absolutely declares the deity of Christ from chapter 1. And not only in verse 2 and 3, the verse 1 says, this is the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. That's much more than a prophet. And if a Muslim is listening to this and they then want to say, well, hold on, there's sons by the tons, there's loads of sons of God. Well, sons by adoption, Paul mentions this in Romans, okay? He says that, our talk blogs here, good night. Anyway, so Paul mentions in Romans that we are adopted as sons. There is this adoption we have into the family of God. But what does Jesus say? Jesus actually distinguishes himself as the Son of God from other sons of God, because in John's Gospel, he says, unless you believe in God's one and only Son, you will perish, is what he says. One and only Son, that's the words of Christ. You have the baptism. The Father turns up at the baptism and says, this is my Son. But a real good argument to kind of come back with this is that if you want to say, well, all the prophets were the sons of God, okay? Matthew chapter 17, at the Transfiguration, God says, and bearing in mind, Moses and Elijah are both there with Jesus. So what does God say? He doesn't say, these guys are my son. He says, this is my son. He distinguishes his son, his only son, from the prophets. He says, this is my son. So to use this argument for Mark or Matthew or John or Luke's gospel to try and disprove the deity of Christ, it can't be done. You're fighting a losing battle, which is why I find it frustrating when people like Hashim, I like Hashim, but when people like Hashim use John's gospel to disprove the deity of Christ, you can't do that. John's gospel literally begins with the deity of Christ, not just in verse 1, in the beginning was the word, but also in verse 3. In verse 3 it says that everything that was made, everything that has been made, was made by Jesus, which excludes Jesus from creation. So he's not creation, he's creator. He created everything that has been created, therefore he's uncreated. So, I mean, I'm going to hand you back to Kay now because, she's just there.
Places to go, people to see, as it were. you know, cups of tea, etc.
Let me wrap up then.
So I guess in summary of today, I'm pretty pleased with how it went. I'm not pleased that Tommy Robinson was arrested on these ridiculous COVID thingies. I'm not pleased that other people were spoken to so poorly by the police. I think they've got a job to do, a very difficult job to do, but I think they need to appreciate that we are there for betterment, as it were. So, yeah, in terms of the other thing I'd say about Jesus not knowing the hour is it doesn't diminish the fact that within the Godhead, all things are known. It's just as simple as that. It's just the 33 years that he was Christ, where he's lesser than, or, you know, made, even within the chapter where it says he is made lesser than the angels and better than the angels and not of the angels, the Father calls Jesus Christ God. So that's also something to bear in mind when people say, where does Jesus say I'm God? He doesn't need to. The Father calls him God, and he does say it anyway in Matthew 14 and in many other places. So we're wrapping up.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap up now. I see our talk blog is challenging us once again in the chat. To be honest, buddy, I came on your live stream. You had nothing to say. I came on your live stream. I spoke for nearly 25, 30 minutes.
Not like you,
and
Ben.
yeah, not like me. And you had nothing to say. You couldn't answer the points. What did you do? You made an hour or 2 hour long video rebutting the thing I said because you couldn't rebut it there. It's easy to have Google answers, but it's another thing to actually have a discussion the way we tried to have. But I'm now going to try and end this live stream.
First one. You've been christened.
Okay. So how do I end the live stream?
Who knows?
How
Go
do I end the live? No, hold on. So 1 second. Let me try and end the live stream. I'm guessing it's going to be
X at the top,
okay.
maybe.
Okay, so I'm going to end the live stream, guys.
God bless you
Thank
all.
you for thanks for listening. There's 74 people
Come on
here.
to Discord.
Yeah, come on to Discord. There's a SOCO Films Discord.
The link is in the new SOCO descriptions and also SOCO Film description box.
Yeah, so if you join SOCO Discord, you can chat with us in the voice chat.
Lectures in the evenings. We're thinking of having, well, we're not thinking of having it yet, but I've been approached and asked to create some sort of Bible study folder. We've got polemics and apologetics already. We've got other, you know, people in and out, and a couple of Muslims, but never mind. No, I'm only joking.
Okay, so guys, peace out. God bless.
God bless you all.
See you next time.